What's up, everybody? It's Glenn back with Big Jack and another episode of the Fade YouTube podcast. Last week, week 3, I go 2-1, pretty close to 3-0. The Bills weren't really looking like they were going to cover, but if people remember at home, I called out over 30.5 team total as well, and that hit. Uh, Game kind of went how I thought. Buffalo defense maybe gave up a little bit more than I thought, but it is what it is. Jack, you go 1-2, but the Bears get a big W. Nobody knows the Bears quite like Jack a Big Jack. So that's great to see. I'm at 4-5 on the season. You're at 3-6. Try to build some momentum here going into week 4. Big Jack, how are you feeling after the big weekend for yourself?
Well, I mean, good in a sense, but bad as pertains to the picks. More importantly, I've been consistent 1-2 week after week. Feel like I'm a couple weeks into the season starting to feel a little bit more confident in the opinions I have of certain teams and whatnot. But yeah, certainly need a week 3-0 could get me back to kind of where I need to be moving forward. But yeah, a little bit of a hole to dig out of. Certainly, I don't know. Last week was tough. We did it earlier in the week. We did it on Monday. I think that, I probably would not have played one of the games that I played for sure, given how the week sort of unfolded, but that's neither here nor there. Full steam ahead, and hopefully we can get it back on the tracks this week.
Yeah, man. Getting to week 4, starting to get to the early meaty part of the season, if you will. I'll let you start off this week with your first pick. Jack, what's your first pick of the week?
I'm going to go back to the well with the team that I was against last week that they absolutely boat raced me. I took the Bengals. You were on the opposite side of that. You were on the Vikings. It was an absolute no sweat on your end. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't typically love picking these games that they're playing in Ireland this week. I'm going to take the Steelers plus 2.5. It's minus 105, so they're getting, pretty close to even money. I don't know. I think the Steelers are better than a lot of people. I think Aaron Rodgers is the type of person who, when he's motivated, when he has a little bit of an extra edge to a game, he comes out to kind of prove something, that chip on his shoulder. I know there was a lot of, conversation around, hey, maybe he wants Minnesota, and that's why he's kind of holding out on the whole Pittsburgh thing. Who knows how much truth there is to that sort of conjecture over the course of time. I think he'll be ready to roll. He knows the NFC North. He knows the Vikings pretty well. I think he'll be, going there. I like the Steelers to get it done, if you want to get a little froggy on the money line. But I certainly think they cover that 2.5 in Ireland this weekend.
I did not pick this game. Honestly, Jack, I was pretty close to picking the opposite side. I just think Minnesota's defense is the real deal. And I think that Pittsburgh defense right now is struggling to find its identity. I kind of like Minnesota in that one, but hey, for the sake of the parlay, the sake of the show, I hope you're right. I'll go into my first pick of the week. The Buccaneers have had the Eagles number over recent years, but I actually think the Eagles get them here. I like the Eagles minus 3.5. The Bucs early season have had a pretty tough schedule. They are 3-0. They found a way to win those games, but I could see this being one of those games where there's just a little bit of a letdown, not because it's a lesser opponent, but almost because it's a better opponent, and it's just like it's just one loss on our schedule type thing. I like Philadelphia minus 3.5 going to Tampa Bay. That's my first pick of the week.
Bucks, that's one of those kind of the backdoor ones that killed me. I was on Houston 2 weeks ago now. It looks like they were going to come in right down at the end there, and then all of a sudden Baker leads that 4th and 10. He runs for like 30 yards. They end up punching it in, winning the game. And like you said, it's 3 weeks now. They're 3-0, but all 3, game-winning drives kind of as the clock's ticking down. So it's good in a sense to be in those close games, and especially to be winning them. I think it builds confidence later in the season for the team, because, those are the type of games you're going to be in when it really matters. But yeah, I got nothing to say necessarily against that pick. I think it'll be one of the better, if not the best games of the weekend. So looking forward to watching it, but I'm not on either side there. The second game I'm going to, I'm going to play the New England Patriots minus 5.5 against your Carolina Panthers. You've sort of been riding them successfully the last couple of weeks. Blowout winner against Atlanta. They look great. I think it was 30-0 off of memory, but it's just an odd number to me. I know the Patriots are at home. They're, in my mind, I would think that this would be like a 2.5 point favorite, maybe 1.5. I don't know why it's such a wide number. And I'm just going to not overthink it, and I'm just going to take the side that seems funky. I'm going to take the 5, and I'll lay the 5.5, and hopefully the Patriots go out and win by at least a touchdown. I'm sure Vrabel will throw something at Bryce Young, maybe get him out of his comfort zone, and Patriots find a way to cover that number at home on Sunday.
I think you're on the sharp side there, Jack. If I were on this game, I'd be picking the same side. Carolina, in a weird way, even though they killed Atlanta on the scoreboard, if you look at the box score and look at like yardage and stuff like that, Atlanta actually kind of dominated them in a weird way. I don't know if Carolina is very good, if they're not, but that line doesn't make sense. I'm with you. New England -5.5. I like that side. My second pick of the week, I'm just kind of going against a bad team that I don't like. I picked against them last week. It was my one loser. They covered a big spread against the Bills. I'm going to the Jets against the Dolphins. I think it's two bad teams, to be honest. I'm not saying I got all the confidence in the world in the Jets. I just feel like it could be one of those situations where the Jets play a little bit harder, find a way to get a W. Miami just seems like they're done. I'm on Jets +2.5. That's my second pick of the week.
I like that one quite a bit, actually. It was certainly on my radar. I could very much see a world in which Jets win that game and Mike McDaniel is out of a job come Monday, Tuesday, something like that. I think I don't know, especially if Justin Fields plays. I don't know if I almost like it less, but I think he's going to play, and I think that's the side that I would lean towards as well. My last game, I hate to do it, back-to-back weeks. I think this team is a little bit inflated because of their performance against the Cowboys. I'm taking the Raiders money line. It's -115. The Bears are, despite what they showed last week, I think in reality, they're more of the team we saw the first 2 weeks than the team that we saw this past week. I hope I'm wrong in that sense, and I think, like I've said all along about the Bears, I think by the time we get into like a week 10, week 11, I think they'll be trending in a better direction for the following season. They're not a great team. They have a ton of injuries on the defensive side of the ball where they already sort of stink anyway. I think Pete Carroll is going to be at home. He'll have a good game plan of how he wants to go about getting it done and attacking that defense. And I think that they'll find a way to do that successfully enough to get out of there with a W.
I think it's the smart side. I'm not on that, not for the show against the Bears in this spot. That being said, I do think it's the smart side. I'm halfway worried about like an Ashton Genty get right game here against this Bears front.
Of course.
It's bound to happen. The Bears, great game last week, but they have those 4 takeaways. I feel like if you're an opposing team, you're going to just start keying in and saying, hey, if we don't turn the ball over, we're going to score points against these guys. So I can see a lot of teams just getting pretty conservative and still having success offensively. I do think the Bears offense will be able to score against this Raiders defense. I could see this being a high scoring game. I like where you're at on the side in terms of betting. I'm not on it personally. My next game and final game of the week, it's two teams that are going to be in a bounce back spot. That's the only thing that makes me second guess it at all, but I'm just not going to. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers against the Cowboys. I just think it's a complete mismatch in every step of the game. I think the Cowboys defense will be able to slow down I think the Packers defense will be able to slow down that Cowboys defense probably even better than the Bears were able to. I don't see this Dallas defense being able to stop the Packer offense at all. The Bears just won by 17 against the Cowboys. I could see the Packers winning by 30. Packers -7. That's my last pick of the week, as much as that sucks. Any thoughts on that pick, Jack?
Not a ton. I think that, Packers may have been a little bit of a, it's hard to say in the pros the way that it happens in college, but I think they may have been a small victim of like a tough schedule spot as far as kind of like, hey, you got off to that good start. You're 2-0, a couple good wins, and then you get kind of a crappy Browns team, and you're sort of looking ahead to that big marquee Sunday night matchup with Micah going back to Dallas. And obviously, they've built up a little bit of a rivalry the past couple of years, especially given the playoff bouts they've had with Dallas. I think that there's a good chance they're just kind of had their eyes on this game a little too early, which cost them. But to your benefit this week. I think it could bode well.
A quick recap for everybody at home. Jack is on the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 2.5 versus Minnesota. The New England Patriots minus 5.5 versus Carolina Panthers. And the Las Vegas Raiders money line versus our beloved Chicago Bears. I am on the Philadelphia Eagles minus 3.5 at Tampa. The New York Jets plus 2.5 at Miami. And finishing the week, the Green Bay Packers minus 7 at Dallas. That is the recap. That is the best bets of NFL Week 4. Big Jack, any final thoughts for the fans at home?
Oh man, got to find a way to get it going before this gets to the point of no return. So hopefully this week.
That'd be great. Maybe a little parlay action. Like and subscribe if you're new. Till next time, peace.